In the grand theater of chess, the middle game is the storm. It arrives when the calm of the opening dissolves and the fight of meaning begins. The board is crowded, the tension rises, every piece is alive with purpose or peril. This is the phase where intention becomes action, where quiet plans reveal their sharp edges, and where one misstep can rewrite the entire story. The middle game is not yet about survival, but about initiative. It is not yet about clarity, but complexity. This is where the player must navigate the unknown, balancing aggression with restraint, calculation with instinct. It is the most human stage of the game, messy, dynamic, and uncertain. Every move is a risk, every exchange a judgment, and behind it all, the clock ticks louder. This is where your style emerges, where your courage is tested, where your identity is no longer hidden behind theory, but revealed in conflict. The middle game doesn't ask who's memorized the most lines, it asks you, can you create, can you adapt, can you fight in the dark and still find your way? Because this is where the outcome begins to take shape, not in silence, but in struggle. And in that struggle, the player is forged. The middle game begins when the calm of preparation breaks into motion. The pieces are developed, the board is alive. It is no longer about setup, but about intention in action. There are more options now, but also more danger. Tension thickens. Every move shapes the future. It is a paradox. Abundance that demands focus, freedom that demands discipline. Where the opening offers safety and structure, the middle game tests adaptability. Nothing is guaranteed, everything is earned. Like life in its defining stretch, the middle game asks, what are you building towards? Can you see beyond the moment, and will you stay composed as the pressure grows? Because in the middle, victory is never certain, but identity is always revealed. The middle game is the reckoning. The board is no longer quiet, no longer safe. The order of the opening is scattered into conflicts, and now the battle is real. This is the middle game, a realm unlike any other in chess, a space where plans are tested, tactics emerge, and threats multiply. In the beginning, the board is full of dreams, pure, open, and hopeful. But in the middle, those dreams are challenged, ideas clash, and uncertainty reign. Every position is a puzzle, every move a risk. This is not a game of perfect vision, but imperfect choices made under pressure. The psychology of the middle game is not about certainty, it's about adaptation, not about memorized theories, but creative survival in the unknown. Because in this phase, nothing is stable, control is fleeting, and only those who can hold their nerve can carry the vision through the fire. At this stage, power is everywhere, but it is unstable. The queen still roams, the rooks thunder down open fouls, the bishop cuts across the diagonal like blades, the knights twist in impossible patterns. This is not quiet war, it is a storm of choices, a maze of calculation and intuition. The king remains hidden, sheltered for now, but even safety is temporary. This is where true battle is fought, not with simplicity, but with tension, not with certainty, but with courage. The middle game teaches us the value of flexibility, of tension, of knowing when to wait and when to unleash. There is still room for brilliance here, but it must be earned, because behind every elegant tactic lies risk, and behind every exchange is a question. Was it worth it? Each square is contested, each idea carries weight, and here, power is not defined by presence but by pressure. This is the stage where control is fragile, plans are vulnerable, and every piece must prove its place. Because in the middle game, nothing is given, everything is taken one sharp decision at a time. In the psychology of the middle game, time accelerates. It no longer ticks gently, it races, it rushes like wind through open fouls, like fire through tangled lines. The clock is not a companion here, it is an adversary. Each second borrowed from clarity, each tick a thief of certainty. In the middle game, pressure is layered. It is not just on the board. It is in your breath, your pulse, and your instincts to doubt. Because the middle game is a storm, fast, sharp, relentless. There are tactics in the shadow, threats disguised as opportunities, and choices you will have no time to second guess. This is the crucible for decision. The mind must move fast but think slow. Balance must be found between calculation and courage. There is no script now, no safe paths, just you, the pieces, and a clock that will not wait. The psychology of the middle game is not about control, but about composure, emotion, because here the game can be lost in a flash or won with a whisper. The king's dilemma happens in the middle game as well. In the opening and the early middle game, the king is hidden, tucked behind pawns, sheltered by castles, untouched by the chaos that begins to unfold. But as the middle game deepens, danger draws closer. The center opens, files are cleared, lines of attack stretch towards his refuge. The king cannot yet move forward, but it can no longer pretend to be safe. This is the king's dilemma. Not yet ready to lead, but no longer protected. It becomes a symbol of tension, still passive, but no longer invincible. Every decision around him now matters more. Each pawn push, each file opened could become a pathway or a death sentence. The middle game does not grant him strength, only the weight of anticipation, because here the king waits for the moment he must rise, for the moment the end game calls. The middle game reminds us leadership does not always begin with strength. Sometimes it begins with tension. In the middle game, the king is still protected, but no longer untouched. Threats creep in, lines open, and silence becomes impossible. This is the moment when responsibility starts to shift, when the burden of protection becomes a question of readiness, when hiding is no longer enough. The king has not yet marched, but it must prepare, not because it is powerful, but because the moment is coming when no one else will be left. Here, true leadership is not title, but a decision made under pressure. It is the slow realization that safety is temporary and that presence will soon be required. The middle game reminds us leadership is not just about action, it is about preparation for action too. The stillness before responsibility steps into the light. The pawn in the middle game as well has some interesting themes. In the middle game, the pawn is no longer silent. It is not yet the hero, but it is the spark, no longer hidden. It begins to shape the battlefield, one file at a time, one square at a time. Its value is not what it is, but in what it threatens to become. Each advance stakes a claim, costs space, provokes reaction. Push too far and it overextends. Hold too long and moment passes. The pawn is not just a piece, it is a question. One that asks, will you risk the future to shape it? In the middle game, the pawn is possibility wrapped in danger, a force of quiet pressure, a seed of imbalance. It draws fire, it divides the board, it forces decisions others would rather delay. Because even now, before its transformation, before its glory, the pawn is already changing the game. In the middle game, there are no easy answers. There are no guarantees in the middle game, no clear path to victory. Every move is layered with tension, a blend of ambition and risk. Even with perfect vision, there are traps. Even with boldness, there is cost. The middle game teaches us humility in motion. It reminds us that clarity does not come first. It must be earned. In many ways, the middle game is a metaphor for life, for life's most defining stretch. The early rush of ideas give way to responsibility. Choices begin to compound. Mistakes begin to matter, and nothing is easily undone. This is not the abundance of youth, but the weight of potential. So much to gain, so much to lose. There is complexity, conflict, pressure, but within it, there is growth. Because while the middle game does not offer certainty, it offers something just as powerful: the chance to shape what follows. You begin to understand what must work together, the harmony between your pieces, the coordination of threats, the rhythm of space and pressure. It is not about having more, but about doing more with what you have. You learn the value of connection, a rook behind a pawn, a bishop slicing through a long diagonal, a knight dancing through close terrain. It is no longer about following plans, but shaping them in real time, not about flashy moves, but meaningful ones. And just like in life, it is not always the most powerful piece that makes the difference, but the one that arrives exactly when they are needed. Because in the middle game, success is not always about dominance. It's about synergy, timing, and the ability to turn complexity into cohesion. In the middle game, we are tested. In the middle game, we are tested. In the middle game, we are tested. Our plan, our discipline, our willingness to confront uncertainty. Can we find clarity in the chaos? Can we stay composed while the board shifts beneath us? Can we still create when nothing is clean? The greatest games in history are often remembered not just for their endings or their openings, but for how players navigate the storm. A knight sacrifice that cracked the king's shelter, a rook lift that turned defense into destiny, a quiet move in a noisy position, revealing vision few could see. The middle game is where ideas are born and where many die. It is not about perfection, it's about persistence. It is where you fight not just your opponent, but your own doubt. The middle game asks, when the board becomes complicated, who are you? Do you cling to comfort or lean into complexity? Do you collapse under calculation or create your way through it? The psychology of the middle game is not about knowing what to do. It's about deciding what to do when no answer feels safe. To study the middle game is to study tension. It is not just a tactical challenge, but an emotional one. It teaches resilience, patience, and the ability to keep moving forward even when every move feels like a question. It asks us think not in only patterns, but in possibility, not only in threats, but in vision. Because here, amidst pressure and imbalance, you are not yet defined by how it ends, but by how you endure. And most of it all, the middle game reminds us the game is being decided right now, not later, not at the end. Now, when the board is messy, when nothing is certain, and everything is still possible. As long as there is tension, imbalance, initiative, there is still something to create, something to defend, and something to fight for. The psychology of the middle game is the psychology of engagement, of courage under pressure, of staying awake when the chaos begins. Because here, everything is in motion. Every move opens and closes doors you would never get back. The future is being written, but it will not wait. So as the board turns sharp and the path grow unclear, don't flinch, don't retreat. Lean in. This is the moment of uncertainty, of calculation, of clash. This is where the direction is chosen, where identity is revealed. In chess, as in life, the middle is not a blur to rush through. It is the test that makes the ending mean something. And those who master it don't just survive the storm, they learn how to shape it. I have something very important to share. This morning, I got a notification from YouTube that my channel is 1 year old. I have to confess, when I uploaded my first video on this channel last year, I never imagined I would have this many subscribers. Close to 900 subscribers, never. I thought one had to be a celebrity to have these many numbers. As if this isn't enough, having a YouTube channel with over 100,000 views in a period of a year to my name was something I never thought I could achieve. For this reason, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for your views, comments, likes, and even dislikes. I'm immensely grateful. I also like to make it clear that one of my goals for this channel right now is to get to 1,000 subscribers. But I don't even know how to ask because you have done so much for me and I don't want to sound selfish. So I thought it would be great for us to make a deal. If you subscribe to my channel to get me to 1K, I will do everything in my power to make my content better, more valuable, and more insightful. I promise you, it is a deal you will never, ever regret. So please, thank you as you subscribe. If you think this video is good, I have something better. And this one is about openings in chess, the psychology of chess openings. What do you think is the psychology of chess openings? Well, meet me in the next video on your screen.